Hey, fans of the Monday Movie Club. We are going to be talking all things Ghostbusters today. I chose the two sequels, and I know I said two, now I'm making them watch two. Ghostbusters Afterlife from 2021 and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire from this year, 2024. Both of them are official sequels to the hugely popular Ghostbusters from 1984, Ghostbusters 2, 1989. So, and I did recommend we watch the original movie because there was a lot of references to it. And so, do the sequels measure up almost more than 3 decades later? Let's find out. I'm Frank Gaffney. Joel today is Eddie Spencer. Is he in the Ghostbusters?
Not this version.
Oh, okay. And he has something in the back. What is that, Joel?
Oh, it's Tobin's Spirit Guide.
Oh, the Tobin Spirit Guide.
Everybody sure. And a red Solo cup.
Right. That's a purple Solo cup, but
oh yeah.
And it's not actually a Solo cup; it's a big plastic monstrosity.
Mark, do you see the difference in the two colors?
Kinda.
The shades of color, you could see that.
Yeah.
Mark Wojcicki does not have a picture up. Don't know if that he doesn't like this movie, doesn't like that movie. I don't know.
Because I was rushed by you people.
Sorry. And Goldfuck, Cringer and Goldfuck, who is nodding off right there. And Annie King.
So is Cringer.
Annie King is visiting one of her friends' house. Sister, brother, what?
My brother's house. I'm in Ava's room.
All right. Okay, Frank. Why so much homework?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so here, well, what am I talking about? Okay, first, Afterlife first. Here's the plot. When a single mother and her two children move to a new town, they discover they have a connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy that their grandfather left behind. Granddad was Harold Ramis, who was an original Ghostbuster, and he died in 2014, and this movie is 2021. But Afterlife, we watched on DVD last week when we had no internet because of Uncle Milty, and I did not take notes, so I have no idea. DVD. I watched a DVD. I did enjoy it, though. I gave it 3 stars. Paul Rudd is always adorable, and the kids were cute enough to not be annoying and fun to see most of the original cast, and sweet that it was for Harold, it said at the end. But it was weird that they didn't let him speak. I'm like, with all the technology, they couldn't get his voice? And then in the credits, it said, and Sigourney Weaver, and I thought, did I miss her? Was she the gargoyle? No.
Same.
Then it cut to a scene of her and Bill Murray, cute, but it went on too long. They were like, oh, well, we have her. We have to do something. All right. And again, the reason I said to watch Ghostbusters, one, because there are a lot of references to the first one, which I hadn't seen since May 2020 when I reviewed it as part of the Franken list. You can find my
how many stars?
You can find my review on the Facebook. I gave it 3.5 stars. So even some of those callbacks were lost on me even. Okay. Moving on to, wait, should we all discuss that one and then go on to Frozen Empire?
No, Annie's saying no.
All right, Frozen Empire was released this year, and an hour and 55 minutes is just too long. It's too long. The plot to this one, the Spangler family returns to the iconic New York City firehouse where the original Ghostbusters have taken ghostbusting to the next level. They updated it. With the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, the Ghostbusters, new and old, unite to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age. And it was fun that we were back in New York and the firehouse and all of that. And the 4 main characters are back from Afterlife: Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, and the 2 Spangler kids, that one from Stranger Things, and that Brainiac girl, and the podcast kid. But then
who aged like 30 years.
Yes.
And then, but yeah, in the just, it was it 3 years ago.
Yep.
He definitely had a growth spurt.
Well, it's actually technically not 3 years ago because Afterlife was supposed to be released in I think
2020.
February or March of 2020, So
Right.
it got delayed
COVID.
because of COVID. So it was
Right.
really probably like 4 to 5 years between
Yeah.
him
Okay.
filming
Well,
the two movies.
45 years later,
40.
they look very old. And then there were new kids. Why do we need more kids? Come on. But the ghost catcher, when it was a drone, that was like, oh, that was cool. Welcome to the 21st century.
Yeah.
And then 1980s bad guy alert. There was William Atherton as the mayor.
Perfect.
It's nice
Yeah.
that he was still alive. And then the Stay Puft Marshmallow, little marshmallow man, kind of reminded me of the Gremlins a little bit. And how cute was Paul Rudd spouting the lyrics?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, he's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, it's up to the ostracized kid to save the day. Was I the only one getting lesbian vibes over her and the ghost?
I said that as well. I asked Danielle if she got the exact term you just said, and she said, "Yep, totally getting that."
I thought they were going to make out.
This one was for Ivan Reitman, who was the original movie's director, who died in
2009.
22, I think,
Oh,
Yeah, recent.
2022.
within the last couple of years.
2022. I can't wait. What did I do? I can't see you guys. Oh, there we are. Okay. I guess somebody I guess somebody else from the original has to die before they do a third one.
No, they're working on another one, so
Oh,
somebody
who's gonna
lock
die?
Bill Murray up in
Do you want to take
Bubble
bets
wrap.
on who's gonna die?
I'd vote Atherton.
Atherton.
Yeah.
Oh,
This one will be for
poor
Bill.
guy. Yeah.
And this one actually had a mid-credit sequence. I don't know what I must have just left it running for some reason. I don't know.
It was on
why.
pretty quickly. It was pretty
Well,
quick.
yeah,
Went to credits.
normally, as soon as that says directed by, I'm like, "Bork," so yeah. But I did leave it on, and that was cute.
Frank, did you not mention that the first one, the first sequel, had a mid credits and a post credits?
Oh, it did? I didn't see that then.
You always got to stick to the
Yeah,
end,
that's
man.
why these days you just play
Yeah.
it in the background, watch all the credits, say,
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we were sitting on our bed watching it on the computer. It was
That was a whole long scene in the firehouse.
yeah.
oh, how funny. All right, well, right. I missed it. All right, so both of the sequels, the new sequels are fun, have that nostalgia bit, moved it a little bit to the 21st century. I like the first one better. Frozen Empire only gets 2.5 from me. And Mark, since this is one of your 1984 movies,
Correct.
yeah, of course you loved the original.
I'll start off by saying that back when Frozen Empire came out, I think in June, we did exactly this. We watched Ghostbusters 1 and then Afterlife, which we had seen already, and then we rewatched Afterlife and then we watched Frozen Empire. So this week, running around and everything, I only watched Frozen Empire just to be upfront. And that's all I reviewed. But yeah, to say that Ghostbusters 1 for me is a 4-star movie. It was I've seen it 30, 40 times. I was 9 when it came out, so it is just I grew up watching it. I'll just quickly say about I also agree that Frozen Empire was not as good as Afterlife. Afterlife was very touching. And do you know who played Harold Ramis, Egon? The stand-in was Bob Gunton, who was the Shawshank Redemption warden, the asshole.
Yeah.
That was
We
him.
only know him as Juan Perón.
And so stand in as far as then they put Harold Ramis face over him.
Yeah,
Oh,
whenever
Interesting.
like that whole opening sequence when you don't actually see who it is.
That was
The
Bob
credit is listed as I think the farmer guy or dirt farmer or something, and it says Bob Gunton, and you're like, Bob Gunton wasn't in the. Oh, that's what they meant,
Yes.
Oh, how
Oh,
funny.
nice.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought the first one was Afterlife was really well done. I would give both of them 3.25 stars.
Right.
And now I'll go to my notes. I loved the news in the beginning showing the real music video with Ray Parker Jr. and the cereal commercial, which was
That was
fantastic.
fun. Yeah, that was
The
fun.
mini Stay Puft Marshmallows bordering on cute and annoying.
Yeah.
For me, Kumail Nanjiani, I don't know if I said that right, but he can do no wrong. I love him. And we just rewatched Eternals too, and he was in that. I'm sure no one remembers except for Joel and Annie.
No, I like him a lot.
Okay. Yeah, he's very funny. He's got good lines, good delivery.
There, yeah.
Um, so last year I went on a ghost tour of Greenwich Village.
A
And I
Ghostbusters
learned,
tour?
huh?
A Ghostbusters tour?
No, no, just a ghost tour. It's told by some crazy looking old guy that was definitely born to do this stuff. And I went with a few friends, and what we learned was that we walked through Washington Square Park and NYU there, and he pointed to a building that was a block from the park, right next to one of the dorms for NYU from 100 years ago, and a bunch of women worked there. It was like a corset factory or a sewing factory, and of course at that time that's all women were allowed to work at.
Are you about to reference the Triangle Waist Shirt Factory?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Anyway, there was a huge fire there, and a lot of women
Yes,
were
yeah.
killed.
That's a huge, well-known
Oh,
story.
I
Yeah.
did not know that until last
Yeah.
year. So I feel like that was a nice, even though it was different for the girl ghost who was there, her family. I feel like it was all not Bryant Park, Washington Square Park there. I thought there was kind of a tie into real history, real New York history. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there are like thousands of bodies buried underneath and around Washington Square Park. It used to be a cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a good area for ghosts to be at.
Okay.
Sure.
And what else? So for me, Frank, you said callbacks. That's what I have here as well. Just the music, the siren, the library manager was the same one from the first Ghostbusters 40 years ago. And going back to William Atherton, again, in 1984, I was 9 years old. My brother was 12. The line in there, they reference Dickless. That's what they call Willem Atherton. Is a great line when they're in the mayor's office, which is great that he's now the mayor. And as you can imagine, as a 9 and 12-year-old, we were allowed to see this movie because it was PG. So my brother and I were constantly calling each other Dickless, whatever. It's what boys do. And I don't know if you caught it toward the end when Atherton there is I think it's right outside of the firehouse, and he's being interviewed by the press, and you hear someone from the crowd yell, "Hey, Dickless, how about you thank them?"
Yeah.
Which for me, that was I had to stop it and crack up. So that was
great.
big fans from like me. Yeah. Again, 3.25 stars. I think that they did a really good job in the cast, especially. It has heart. Both movies.
Okay. So Joel, you watched every movie possible.
I
There's
watched
five
every-
movies.
Yes.
The girl version,
Yes.
1
they
and
call-
2, and 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, and the reason I threw 2 in there because I remembered when I saw Frozen Empire earlier this year, I was like, there's actually some references to 2 in the movie. So,
References to Annie's sister?
Yeah.
No, what were they?
Well, they're at one point, Phoebe
Gotcha.
is bringing a jar of the mood slime from the second movie to Dan Aykroyd, or moving it around. There's mention of the Statue of Liberty incident and a few other things like that. Nothing major, but it's kind of like, all right, that when Afterlife, they don't acknowledge the second film really, but they don't say that it happened, and people were like, oh, maybe they're ignoring it. Obviously, with Frozen Empire, they're not ignoring it. It happened, and
Right.
we've kept that and moved on. It's not like
Right.
there
And are you
was
going to tell
Halloween.
us the Eddie Spencer story? I don't know. Mark, do you know
So
who Eddie Spencer is?
none of you are going to know who Eddie Spencer is.
Oh, okay.
So the Ghostbusters didn't start off as these that because Columbia Pictures originally couldn't use the title because it was owned by another company that had a live action TV series on Saturday mornings called The Ghostbusters with Forrest Tucker and Larry Storch and a gorilla. And Larry Storch's character was Eddie Spencer. As actually the characters were Spencer, Tracy, and Kong. Kong was Forrest Tucker. Tracy was the gorilla.
That's funny.
Columbia really wanted to use the name, and they wound up doing some trading with the company that owned it at the time. But you may or may not remember, in the 80s, because of the movie, there were 2 cartoons that were made, and one was titled The Real Ghostbusters, and that was these guys, Egon and Venkman and those guys, their adventures. And the other was called The Original Ghostbusters, and that was
Larry
Spencer, Tracy, and
Storch.
Kong. Yeah, but it was a cartoon this time, and it followed their kids.
So was there a reference in either of the movies of the
Nope.
cartoon?
Nope.
No.
No, but I was gonna say, Joel, if you were really a completist, you would have watched every episode of that
Yeah.
cartoon as well.
You know,
Wow.
it's funny. I thought about it, and then I was like, no.
Can't do
It's one
Wait a
of those
minute.
nostalgia things I remember, and I'm like, this is not going to hold up as well as I think it is.
And you have them?
I do.
Oh my
I haven't
goodness.
seen them in a long
surprised.
time, but I have them.
I'm not surprised.
I don't have the cartoon. I don't have the original Ghostbusters cartoon though. Those are out of print, and I'm not paying that much money for something that I'm probably going to go.
Yeah. And Slimer the Ghost was a big part of the cartoon. I remember that, watching
Well,
that.
I have the real Ghostbusters cartoons. I've
Right.
watched those with the kids a number of times, but
Not the original.
anyway, I didn't go through those.
Right.
So, and we had actually just recently seen within the last year both Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 and Afterlife, because Dave had never seen any of them, and we are trying to introduce a guy who grew up, he's only a couple of years older than I am, who hasn't seen a lot of the movies that most people have seen.
Did he like them?
Yeah, he enjoyed them. So,
All right. Well, Joel,
anyway.
did you enjoy them? Afterlife?
I still have enjoyed them. I will say the original Ghostbusters to me isn't quite a 4-star film. It's a 3.75 film. I don't want to say it's aged in a certain way. I've just always felt that way about it. There are things about it that
Are very 1980s.
yeah, and it's certain parts are still hysterically funny and others aren't. But it's still a great movie, and I will watch it when I'm in the mood. Ghostbusters 2, I would say, is more of a 2.75 movie. It's gotten better over time. I didn't like it when I saw it in the theaters. It was really disappointing, but it's not so much anymore. And there are things that I like about it. The one thing I do like about both those movies is they run about an hour and 45 minutes each, and they don't feel long at all. They move very quickly. Afterlife and Frozen Empire, they're both around the 2-hour mark, and they're both they feel it. I think both of them do. I will say with Afterlife, I think it is the best example of how to reboot a franchise that's been laying fallow for a while. They hit all the nostalgia notes properly.
Yep.
They respected the material properly. And it's very heartwarming with what goes on when you discover things. I mean,
I will also point to The Force Awakens as the same kind of thing.
Yes and no. But it's a different discussion. It hits all the right notes, and then it goes completely in the wrong direction several times. But anyway, I will give Afterlife like a 3.25, and I will give Frozen Empire a 3. They're enjoyable. I love the fact that they bring back the concept of Ivo Shandor and how he had built the building in the first movie, and he was part of this giant cult of Gozer, and and we see him. He's been in like suspended animation for like 100 years in this box, and you quickly realize, hey, that's J.K. Simmons, and then Gozer just cuts him in half, and that's the end of that cameo. It's like, why did we cast him as this?
Yeah.
It's kind of a waste of an actor, but
maybe his scenes got cut.
No, he's good friends with the Reitman family, and they were like, hey, would you do this? And then he was like, sure. So did I give a number for Frozen Empire?
You did.
Okay.
3.25 and 3.
3. Okay.
Right.
And yes, I did watch the female version, which I hate calling it that, but it's an interesting remake. We actually watched the extended version this time. Like Frozen Empire and Afterlife, it feels like it goes on way too fucking long.
Well, especially if you're watching the
extended. And the extended version felt like it went on way too fucking long. There's some good stuff about it.
PG rating. He just said fucking 3 times.
Yeah, sorry. there's some stuff I like about it. I like that it's literally it's a remake in the sense that they took the original concept and then, made a new story out of it to buff it up in a different way. The cast is very engaging. Melissa McCarthy, Leslie Jones, and Kate McKinnon are hysterical in almost every scene that they're in. And I will almost say that the three of them tend to be funnier in this particular film than Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, and Dan Aykroyd are. And it's only because they're going for the funny. Whereas I think the original film is trying to straddle that comedy, horror, action, and it balances it well. This is pushing itself more in a comedy direction, especially once you have Chris Hemsworth as their stupid blonde secretary, who gets
I remember him being hilarious.
Yeah, he is funny too, and there's a scene where he gets possessed by the villain of the piece, and winds up causing an entire block long army of SWAT men to dance to. I forget what the song is, but it's ridiculous, over the top, hysterical, and a high point of the film. But at the same
You
time,
mentioned the secretary, and of course Annie Potts has a much bigger part in the second movie.
yes.
She looks like they de-aged her. Seriously.
I think they've been aging her up for things like Young Sheldon and
I don't know about that. She did look old though when she was going up the stairs.
yes, well, don't we all? So Ghostbusters Answer the Call, which is what Columbia has marketed it as at this point. I'd say it's about a 2.5. It's
All right.
so.
Annie, how many Ghostbusters did you watch this week?
I watched 2 and 4 because I saw one recently, a couple of weeks ago. So then I saw 2. I didn't have time to do Afterlife, but I had seen it already. And then I watched Frozen Empire on the plane.
For the
Okay.
first time?
Yes.
All right, so you want to just focus on that one.
Yes. I'm very tired. I traveled for 15 hours and but yeah, no, they're all fun. I enjoyed it. It was fun to watch the original one again. It was fun to watch the second one also. I remember enjoying Afterlife. It's something I would go see. I just haven't seen Frozen Empire yet, but I would have eventually had seen it, So one of those fun franchises, and I do have to watch the girl one too.
What was it called?
They've subtitled it Answer the Call.
Answer the Call.
It's funny because it's like the opening of the movie just says Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
but when the credits roll at the end, it says Ghostbusters Answer the Call. So
Okay. Well, that's what I'll look for. So yeah. No, I think it's they're funny. Like you said, the beginning, the first 2 were more like they weren't going for the comedy, but they were so funny, Bill Murray was great in it, and it was totally enjoyable. And I like the new direction that Afterlife went. It was it didn't feel like the same thing again, which Frozen Empire felt a little like the same thing again, a little bit more.
Same
So
as Afterlife, yeah.
yeah. So so I would give Afterlife 3.5 and 3.25 for Frozen Empire.
All right. I'm seeing a trend here, Goldfuck.
Haha.
Are you agreeing with us?
he hated them all 4 stars.
And I'm out. I had seen and loved, I don't know how many times I saw the original, but it's been so long that I really wish I had watched it this week, but I just couldn't watch 3 movies. The whole time I was watching Afterlife, I thought Frank said I should have watched the original, and I should have. Excuse me. And the second one, I don't remember if I saw it. I probably did because I love the first one so much. I did see the chick one because I love that cast. And then I never saw Afterlife or this other one because I think I was kind of like, I'm done with the Ghostbusters.
But now you're really done with the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, right. But now I'll definitely see 5.
They're not done with us.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote an hour. I'm an hour into the movie, and I feel like it's way too kids heavy. It's just nonstop kids, and they
Are
were
you
great.
talking about Afterlife or
First one.
Yeah, I'm
Fortnite?
on Afterlife.
Okay.
And all I'm feeling is sadness for the adorable ghost that they're chasing and chasing, and they just caught it. Like, leave the poor thing alone.
All it's doing is eating metal.
I know, but and they used it beautifully to get out of jail free
Yeah.
card. But and then they were just like trying to kill all these cute little ghosts. It was very sad. To me, they were all little puppies. The end with all the original Ghostbusters was, of course, lovely, but it just went on way too long. There was one point where the three Ghostbusters and then the ghost of Egon appears, our three originals, and then Egon, and they all look at him and they're just standing there with a beam of light, which had already been going up for felt like 20 or 30 seconds, like enough already. So yes, it was just too much, and it was just like so many sci-fi, fantasy, Marvel movies where the big climactic ending just doesn't end, and you think it's over, and then it goes on again with the fire and the lights. I'm like, enough. So this movie was too long. Of course, the very end with Egon hugging Callie and then fading away was very sweet. And then, for Harold popping up was very nice. Favorite, and then I started looking at, for just this one movie, I started reading a few of the normal human people reviews on IMDb. And like I read maybe 4 of them. And one of them had the final line. And to me, that was the perfect review. Overall, it's like watching a safe, respectful tribute rather than a worthwhile standalone film with something to say. I thought that was lovely. So I think I'm going to give it 3 stars, but I really don't need to see it again. So I don't know. And the other one, I really didn't take much notes, but the first time I took a note was like almost more than halfway through the movie. I love the whole long Patton Oswalt scene. Everything with him in the library. He was so good. Everything he said was interesting. I loved it. Then I wrote, why the hell isn't Ernie Hudson working more? He was fabulous. I just thought he was such a good actor.
Yeah.
And
Having
he looks fantastic.
He really
has,
does,
well, the
but
other
you
two,
know.
not so much. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Bill
you know.
Murray.
Don't say it.
Don't cry. Having a machine so that Phoebe and Melody could exist on the same plane for 2 minutes, I found was ridiculous. It was so convenient. And what was the point? And I know the point was for Melody, but what was the point for Phoebe? Why was she so excited to exist on her plane? What difference was it going to make? Did I
Contrived.
miss something?
Yeah,
It
well,
was.
Yes, she said in the movie that she was curious as to what it felt like to be.
Yeah, all right. Yes,
So
that's true.
that's, you know.
And she doesn't really have any friends, and here she finally has a friend, and she wanted to connect.
Yeah, okay, I got
wants
that.
to
And
connect.
Joel, Joel, you're absolutely right in that, if I had a chance to be a ghost or spirit for a couple of minutes, of course I would do that. You're right.
Right. It's contrived that you knew that the 2-minute time limit was going to, be sabotaged. But
Sure. And you all talked about what's his nuts, the actor that we love, whose name I never remember, the one who played Nadim.
Camille
Nanjiani. Yeah. Yeah. Love him as an actor, but his character is that character that you all know how I hate. Every single line out of him was the smarmy, quirky, funny line. He was like sharp as a tack, every fucking line.
I enjoyed him, but
I
actually said to myself, Amy's going to mention that.
I actually thought that every time they cut to Bill Murray. I'm like, okay, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, same thing. And nobody's like that. It's just too much. And finally, what? Yeah, okay.
I always have clever things to say.
Always.
like just now.
That was very clever.
That was.
Finally, I wrote, in the end, when everyone was frozen and Phoebe stood up with her power pack on and her arms holding the ray gun thing, and she looked at Garaka, did anyone else think, get away from her, you bitch?
Yeah.
So wanted her to say that. Lost opportunity. So if I'm going to give the other one 3, I'll give this one 2.75. Both of them were just too long and too kids heavy. But Patton Oswalt absolutely made this one almost a 3. Almost.
Are you a big fan of his in general?
In general, I'm not a big fan or not a big fan. It's just, but every time I see him in something, I think he's terrific. To me, it wasn't so much him as it like with Nanjiani, who I love as an actor, hate a character with Patton Oswalt. I like him perfectly fine, but I loved his character and his line.
I would say to watch the show that he was on, but you don't need another show to watch. But AP Bio, he has some very, very funny moments.
Really?
I love that show.
Some very, very funny moments on it.
Yeah, that was I missed that show.
But what else do we know him from? We know him from so much stuff.
Well, he's a
He was in
stand-up
The King of
comedian.
Queens.
Yeah, I'm saying
Yeah.
King of
that.
Queens was a
Queens.
big, you know.
Yeah, he was on King.
He's,
but I didn't watch-
he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
So technically he's part of the MCU.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I'm talking
he's
about
married.
old stuff that he was on.
He's married to Meredith Salinger, who I had a huge crush on back in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
He definitely married up.
yeah.
Like
Well,
by
his
far.
wife died a few years ago before he married her. He's the one whose wife died.
yeah. Talks about, he's got a whole stand-up special about
Yeah.
his wife having died of cancer, and that's how he worked through it.
Yeah.
Very funny stuff. Dark, but funny.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Okay. Ghostbusters Afterlife can be rented from Prime for $3.99, but Frozen Empire is on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, doesn't the whole world have Netflix, really? You can rent it for $5.99 on Prime or go to the library.
And if you're watching this video at some point in 2025, all the Ghostbusters films will be on Disney Plus for a while.
Oh, there you go.
How,
the new
how do you
one
know
comes
that?
Because Disney signed an agreement with Sony that after the Netflix run of the most recent film, they would have
out,
access
you
to
get the rest of them.
the
Oh,
Ghost. I mean, it's not a permanent thing. It's just for like 6 months or something.
Well, I'm gonna make sure to watch number 2 then, because I haven't seen that in 20 years, and that my memory's the same as yours. I remember being
Yeah.
disappointed.
As I said, I think it gets better. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's
Yeah, I think it's because back when it came out, 89, I think it was,
Yep.
you go into it with such high expectations, loving that first movie. So it's really the disappointment.
Yeah. And
That,
you've got
that colors it while you're watching it. And then you go back and you're like, all right, it's fine.
But 1989 had a great summer roster anyway, so there was a lot going on that summer.
Yeah, Bill and Ted's. Come on.
Indiana Jones, James Bond, Star Trek, Batman, Lethal Weapon. It was a big summer.
I remember Batman being 89.
All right. Batman is 89, probably. Next week, we're continuing our Halloween vibe with Mark's choice of
And you're not-
Scream from 1996, which is on Max if you subscribe to that.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen this movie.
I never have.
Oh, good. That'll be fun. Again, yeah. Well, whatever. We'll discuss it next week. Okay, that's it. I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch
Ow!
Go watch a Ghostbuster movie.
Yeah.
And also with you.